You think that you know what is going on, don't you? You think. That's what you do. You think that you know what's going on. You really think you know. But what if I told you something that you didn't know? What if I told you that everything you're seeing right here is actually an illusion? Of course you know, or you think you know, that that's not the truth. That what you're seeing here is, of course, very real. There are trees, there's a sky, there's a house, there's a lamp, there's vegetation, bushes, shadows. That's what I want to get at, the shadows. Of course, when someone tells you that what you're seeing is not something to believe, then you have to either question your own perception or you have to question their assessment. I get that. When I tell you that this is not what you think it is, you're obviously not going to believe me, and I get that. So I don't know how to convince you that right now, right now, I'm actually in a very painful position. Very painful. I've grown used to it, but it's very painful. The habituation to pain is in no way the absence of pain. This hurts. Now, it's kind of strange because obviously you don't see any restraints upon me. I get that. By all appearances, there are no restraints upon me, and obviously I'm not in the center of the earth, burning in the fire of the core as the flames of hell surround me. And there aren't acolytes all around me right now. 12 to 15 to possibly 17, 18, maybe even 20. People just worship me. Worshipping me for being me. But you people don't even know who I am. You just started worshipping me when I showed up several years ago. I don't even know how many years ago that I showed up. I just know that every once in a while, every few minutes, I guess, my shackles come undone and the people disappear. They're no longer worshipping me. But when the shackles go back, the people appear. And they start worshipping me again, and I'm in the center of the earth. The flames of hell all around me, the burning core that's hollowed out for the civilization that lives there. And we are not anywhere near this. Now, of course, because you are a creature of the senses, you naturally believe that what you're seeing here is real, and of course it is. Now, this reality behind me is not incommensurate with the reality of my life at the core of the earth. I don't know how many years ago it was, but when I realized that life upon the surface of the earth was untenable and had a very imminent expiration date, I found a cave that seemed to spontaneously open near my house, and I walked into the cave, and the cave closed behind me. Kept walking. And as I kept walking, I ran my fingers along the interiors of the caves that were really smooth, like glass. Glass that was organic. And if you pressed your fingers against this glass, there was a certain juice that just dripped out onto the floor. A red juice. And all the juice would go in streams downward. And what I like to do is, after I had been walking for several days and pushing up against the soft organic glass that was like a woman's breast, that dripped the mermairy red beauty onto the floor of the tunnel. A stream arose, and eventually I just kind of flowed and cascaded down into the center of the earth on the bed of a river of red memory bliss. And I showed up. And just as I was standing up right there in front of this massive pillar, I did a full 180 outside of my own volition, and the electric shackles took place. And then the people appeared. And they were all so wonderful at first. I had never received such love. It seemed like a cavern of love because I had these acolytes, these disciples worshiping me. But little did I know that for dozens, maybe 20 of years, we would go through this same cycle. That after I would get freed from the electronic shackles, the electrical shackles, the shackles made of lightning, so to speak, I could never leave the circumference surrounding this pillar. And I could never quite ascertain the nature of the pillar that kept me there. What is the nature of this pillar? Well, this pillar, of course, well, maybe not of course, was just a constant shower of electrical energy upward, like this toroidal figure. So the energy would go straight up, the electrical current, the lightning would go straight up, like this, and then come back around. And then it would go up again, and like this, like this, like this, like this, at the very center of the earth. And all I could do was walk around it whenever I was free. And I don't know, maybe every 5 minutes, I haven't timed it yet, I would be back up against the toroidal fountain of electricity. Now you may think of that as imprisonment, and I totally understand that. But there is this feeling of radical, infinite bliss in being thus shackled to the toroidal fountain of electricity at the heart of the earth. And to have these people worship me, now I wasn't so much about that. I don't care if people want to worship me. I think what they really want is they want to be shackled by means of electricity to the toroidal fountain of electricity at the heart of the earth. They have no idea who I am, and to be truthful, I don't have any idea of who I am, because when I'm shackled there, like this, the electricity goes straight up my spine into my brain and eliminates all sense of identity. And all I can know is that I am composed of lightning. Now I've tried to figure out, of course, who I am, as if the question of identity is primary, as if it were an anchor for understanding reality. But is the question of who I am really such an anchor when I am shackled up against the toroidal tree of electricity? And my identity is electricity, and my identity is lightning? Is the nature of reality such a question when I am lightning itself? Now, for some time, I thought I was an alien. Now, you may ask how I knew or felt or thought or even discerned such a possibility of being an alien on this planet Earth, as if there were aliens here and I were an alien, and these people, these loving acolytes who seem to fawn upon every gesture and every motion and every expression. God, maybe they thought that I was an alien, that I am an alien. And that's when the hands go back up to the toroidal font and tree of electricity, of lightning. Sometimes it's very intense. Sometimes it's so fucking intense to realize one's identity as lightning. Other times, I thought I was some bioengineered artificial entity manufactured by black ops operations, whether it be by the American government, the British government, China, whoever. That I wasn't an alien species on the planet, but in fact some artificial entity. And I didn't know why I would be stuck to the tree of lightning at the center of the earth and have everybody worshipping me. What would be the purpose behind being an artificial entity engineered by a government? I couldn't think of that. Couldn't figure that out. And then I'll be honest with you, I thought, strange as this may have been to think, I thought that perhaps I was Nikola Tesla, the great scientist who discovered means of free energy for all human beings, and that the elites had packed me away at the center of the earth. And I realized that they were simply going to harvest me for free energy. Not just my ideas for free energy technology for all of humanity, but me, my own brain. And that when I got plugged into the toroidal vortex, the tree of lightning at the center of the earth, they could just pick my brain as much as they liked. They would never have to tell anybody, would they? I would be safely tucked away in the center of the earth. I would continually undergo this ritual, like Prometheus chained to the side of a cliff with a vulture picking out my entrails, devouring my organs every day, and then they would grow back, like the myth suggests, although I couldn't understand the acolytes until one day it dawned upon me. They were transmitting their energy. They were replenishing me, resuscitating me, restoring me, revitalizing me after I had been drained by the tree of electricity. But because I have a very inquisitive mind, because I go deep, I probe, I investigate, I'm intrepid like that, I came to realize, ex post facto, through a reconstructive analysis, that that pillar was indeed a pillar before I came. It wasn't the toroidal figure of lightning until I was chained to it. And then it illuminated. And all the filaments became incandescent with the irradiating energy of my body mind. And that perhaps like Atlas, I was holding up the entire planet with the lightning of my being. Perhaps I was deeper than Tesla. Who am I? And are such questions relevant when you are the lightning at the core of the earth, satisfying and fulfilling every being who comes your way, and not just the acolytes in front of you who are replenishing you when you become sapped and enervated and depleted and you feel the deficit deep in your heart. What is the question of identity when you are at the center of the earth?